A woman will never walk up to you and say, hey, I'm attracted to you. Please make a move. That's not how it works. Instead, she'll do something far more subtle. She'll touch something. And if you don't know what that something is, congratulations, you just missed your shot. And she's already moved on to the guy who actually pays attention. Here's the part that's going to sting a little. According to a study published in the Journal of Nonverbal Behavior, over 90% of emotional communication between two people happens without a single word being spoken. 90%. That means the most important conversation she's having with you right now isn't coming out of her mouth. It's happening with her hands. And most men are completely illiterate when it comes to reading it. So let me be brutally honest with you for a second. As a woman, I can tell you that we are not as mysterious as men make us out to be. We actually give away a ridiculous amount of information through the things we touch, the way we move, and where our hands go when we're around someone we're genuinely attracted to. The problem isn't that women are impossible to read. The problem is that nobody ever taught you the language, and today that changes. What I'm about to share with you in this video is not some recycled dating advice you've heard 100 times before. This is real behavioral psychology backed by actual research from institutions like Harvard, Princeton, and the Kinsey Institute. I personally spent weeks going through clinical studies, body language expert analysis, and honestly, my own experiences as a woman who has done every single one of these things without even realizing it at the time. Now, before we get into the first sign, I need to tell you something important. The last sign on this list, number 8, is the one that catches most men completely off guard because it doesn't look like flirting at all. In fact, most guys interpret it as the opposite of attraction. But when a woman does it, it means she's already imagining what it would be like to be with you. So make sure you stay until the end because that one alone could change the way you see every interaction with a woman from this point forward. Let's get into it. Signal 1, the hair touch. The first thing a woman touches when she's attracted to you is her hair. And I know you're probably thinking, that's so obvious. Everyone knows that. But here's what you don't know. There's a massive difference between a woman casually pushing hair out of her face because it's windy and a woman deliberately playing with her hair because you're standing in front of her. David Givens, who directs the Center for Nonverbal Studies, has spent over 30 years researching courtship signals in humans. According to his research, when a woman repeatedly touches, twists, or flips her hair during a conversation with a man, it's one of the most ancient and reliable courtship signals in the human species. It's not something we consciously decide to do, it's neurological. When attraction triggers a release of dopamine and norepinephrine in the brain, it literally increases nervous energy in the hands, and the hair is one of the first places that energy goes. So here's how to tell the difference. If she touches her hair once and moves on, that's probably just grooming. But if she keeps doing it, twisting it around her finger, sweeping it to one side, pulling it over one shoulder to her neck, that's not accidental. That's her body screaming, "Look at me." Signal 2, the neck touch. And speaking of the neck, that leads us directly into the next sign, which is even more revealing. When a woman lightly touches her neck or runs her fingers along her collarbone while talking to you, something very specific is happening in her nervous system. The neck is one of the most vulnerable areas of the human body. It's where major arteries sit close to the surface. From an evolutionary standpoint, exposing or drawing attention to the neck is a submission and trust signal. She is literally telling you without words that she feels safe around you and that she wants you to notice her in a more intimate way. Body language expert Vanessa Van Edwards, who runs the Science of People Research Lab, has pointed out that neck touching in women during social interactions with men, they find attractive increases by nearly 300% compared to interactions with men they have no interest in. 300%. That is not a coincidence. That is biology doing what biology does. And here's a little insider detail from the female perspective. When I catch myself touching my neck around a guy, I usually don't even realize I'm doing it until after the conversation. It's almost embarrassing how involuntary it is. So if you see a woman doing this while she's talking to you, trust what you're saying. Her body is way more honest than her words will ever be. Signal 3, the lip touch. This one is subtle but incredibly powerful. If a woman touches her lips, whether she's lightly pressing a finger to them, biting her lower lip, or slowly applying lip balm while maintaining eye contact with you. She's not just moisturizing, she's drawing your attention to one of the most sensual parts of her face, and she's doing it on purpose, even if she doesn't fully realize it. Research from the University of Manchester used eye tracking technology and found that when men look at a woman's face, they spend approximately 43% of that time focused on the lips, especially when the lips are a color that contrasts with the skin. Women instinctively know this. We've known it for thousands of years. That's literally why lipstick was invented, to make the lips more noticeable and more inviting. So when a woman touches her lips in front of you, she's amplifying a signal that evolution has already hardwired you to respond to. She's essentially putting a spotlight on the part of her face she knows you're already looking at. And if that isn't a green light, I honestly don't know what is. Signal 4, jewelry fidgeting. This is one of the most underrated attraction signals in existence. When a woman starts fidgeting with her jewelry, playing with her necklace, spinning her ring, tugging on her earring while she's in a conversation with you, it's one of the clearest indicators that her nervous system is activated by your presence. Here's the psychology behind it. Fidgeting with jewelry is what behavioral psychologists call a self soothing displacement behavior. It happens when the body is experiencing a surge of emotional arousal, excitement, nervousness, attraction, and needs a physical outlet to manage that energy. The jewelry becomes a tool for managing the internal chaos that you are causing inside her. And there's an added layer to this. Dr. Albert Mehrabian, the psychologist famous for his research on communication, found that when people are emotionally engaged in a conversation, their self touching behaviors increase significantly. The more attracted she is, the more she needs to do something with her hands. And if those hands keep going to her necklace, especially if that necklace sits right above her chest, she's not so subtly directing your eyes exactly where she wants them to go. You're welcome for that information. Signal 5, arm or shoulder touch. Now we shift from self touching to direct contact, and this is where things get unmistakable. If a woman reaches out and touches your arm, your shoulder, or your hand during conversation, she is breaking a very significant social barrier. Physical touch between two people who are not yet intimate is a huge deal from a neurological standpoint. A study from DePaul University found that a brief touch during a social interaction increases the recipient's perception of warmth, trust, and attractiveness toward the person who initiated the touch. In other words, when she touches your arm, she's not just expressing interest, she's also trying to make you feel more connected to her. It's a two-way strategy, and it's brilliant. Here's what's funny about this from a woman's perspective. When I touch a guy's arm during a conversation and he doesn't acknowledge it at all, doesn't smile, doesn't lean in, doesn't mirror the touch, it feels like throwing a ball to someone and watching it just hit them in the chest and fall to the ground. No catch, no reaction, nothing. It's genuinely deflating. So, gentlemen, if a woman touches your arm, the correct response is not to freeze like a deer in headlights. Acknowledge it, lean into it, mirror it, because she just told you everything you needed to know without opening her mouth. Signal 6, object manipulation. This one is sneaky, and most men have absolutely no idea it's even happening. When you're sitting across from a woman at a bar, a restaurant, or even a coffee shop, watch what she does with her glass. If she's slowly running her finger around the rim, tracing the edge of her cup, or gently sliding her finger up and down the stem of a wine glass, that is a textbook seduction gesture. Body language researcher and former FBI behavioral analyst Joe Navarro has written extensively about how object manipulation during conversation is a strong indicator of emotional engagement and often sexual interest. The glass becomes a stand in. She's channeling the physical energy of her attraction into an object because she can't channel it directly towards you yet. The relationship hasn't gotten there, so the glass gets all the attention that she actually wants to give you. And honestly, if you're a man sitting across from a woman and she's doing this while holding eye contact with you and smiling, and you still can't tell she's interested, I say this with love, you might need to watch this video twice. Signal 7, clothing adjustment. When a woman starts adjusting her clothing in front of you, straightening her top, smoothing her skirt, tugging at her sleeve, or checking that everything is sitting right, she's doing one very specific thing. She is preening. And preening is one of the oldest courtship behaviors in the animal kingdom. Ornithologist and evolutionary biologist Geoffrey Miller has drawn fascinating parallels between human preening behavior and the way birds groom themselves for a potential mate. It's not about vanity, it's about presentation. She wants to look her absolute best in front of you because, on a biological level, she is competing for your attention and your selection. The key distinction here is context. If she was already adjusting her outfit before you walked in, that's just regular self care. But if she starts doing it after she notices you or while she's talking to you, that's a targeted behavior. She wants to make sure you're seeing the best version of her. And the fact that she cares that much about how she looks specifically in your eyes, that tells you everything. Signal 8, facial framing. Now, remember at the beginning, I told you about sign number 8, the one that most men misinterpret completely. Here it is. And trust me, this one is going to reframe a lot of past interactions for you. When a woman rests her chin on her hand, cradles her own face, or gently touches her cheek while listening to you talk, most men interpret this as boredom. They think she's zoning out, propping her head up because she's tired of the conversation. That is almost always the wrong read. What she's actually doing is called facial framing, and it is one of the most intimate self-touch signals a person can display. Psychologist Dr. Monica Moore from Webster University conducted a landmark study observing over 200 women in social settings and catalogued over 52 distinct nonverbal flirting behaviors. Facial self-touching, specifically chin resting and cheek cradling, was among the top 10 most frequently observed signals from women who were actively engaged with and attracted to the male counterpart. Here's why it works. When a woman frames her face with her hands, she's unconsciously directing your attention to her facial features, her eyes, her smile, her expressions. She's saying, "Look at my face. See me. Really see me. It's vulnerable. It's soft." And it's one of the most genuine indicators of deep attraction because it typically only shows up when she's comfortable enough to let her guard down around you. So, if you've ever been in a conversation with a woman and she was sitting across from you with her chin resting in her hand, eyes locked on yours, smiling while you talked, and you thought she was bored, she wasn't bored, my friend. She was falling for you and you missed it. Final thoughts. Here's the thing about all of these signals. Not a single one of them involves words. Not one. And that's exactly why most men miss them. We live in a world that teaches us to listen to what people say. But the truth is, the body speaks first and it speaks louder. A woman's words might tell you she's fine or just being friendly, but her hands, her posture, her unconscious gestures, those are telling you the real story. Now that you have this knowledge, you have a responsibility not to manipulate, not to assume, but to pay attention. The next time you're talking to a woman and you notice her twisting her hair, touching her neck, playing with her necklace, or resting her chin in her hand while she looks at you, don't just stand there. Recognize what's happening. Respond to it. Because she's already halfway across the bridge towards you. All you have to do is meet her in the middle. And now that you understand exactly how a woman signals attraction through touch, there's a whole other side to this equation that nobody talks about. The things she actually wants you to do about it. Because knowing she's interested is only half the battle. What she's hoping happens next, that's where most men either step up or completely fumble. I actually made a video specifically about that right here at Freya Inspiration. It's called 7 Dirty Things Women Secretly Want Men to Do, but Never Say Out Loud. And honestly, it might be the most important video you watch after this one, because everything I just showed you today, the hair touching, the lip biting, the arm grazing, those are all invitations. Now you just need to know what to do with them. Click it now, seriously.